Hey everybody, we are really excited. We have a whole new series that we're going to be coming out with. It's all about merch culture, and it is a packed house inside here. I have the whole crew with me, all the pros. I have Tyler, Justin, and Carlo from the team here today, and we're going to be talking about SEPs. What do you guys think?
Yeah, SEPs is really the starting point for all of this stuff. So, Rich and I, when we started to think about what kind of content can we push out to this industry, we really wanted to be hyper-focused in the category of music merch. And we're hoping that some of the things that we talk about starting today with this first series in SEPs, that it adds value. We're going to give a different perspective behind the scenes of what goes into SEPs. So I'm excited to share some of this stuff with you guys.
SEPs is short for separations.
Separations,
right?
yes.
Like, what are separations and why are they so important to this business?
Yeah, so a separation is essentially like a layered Photoshop file. And what those layers do is we print those layers onto screens to develop stencils that are going to basically stack on top of each other and give you your final image. So if you have a photo of Rich's beautiful face here, we take that photo and then it's just a flat photo. It's straight up like you see on your camera or your cell phone or whatever. We can take that into Photoshop and then we separate all of his flesh colors and all of his, like his beard, everything will come in different layers. And then each one of those layers is going to be assigned a Pantone. And essentially what we're doing is we're blending those layers on press with screen printing.
Okay, so Justin, why the hell don't you know how many colors are in a piece of artwork? Or why don't you know when you look at a flat image, or we call them masters, when you take your first look, why can you not necessarily guess with 100% accuracy how many colors the separation will have?
With really complex art, you have to get into the layers and see exactly how it's constructed, because you can go, a screen printing press only has room for like 13, 14 colors, 15 if you're pushing it. And so if you're printing all the colors of a rainbow, you're going to have to combine some colors to create blending and achieve the look with less colors than are actually there.
I know we're always reaching out to the art department like, hey, give me an idea of how many colors this is. And a lot of us that are on the sales side, before it gets to production, we're trying to quote something out. So a customer will send over a flat image and say, give me a price. And typically those clients like to hold you to that color count that you send over. How do you accurately quote something with a flat image? Is there a way for someone to take a look at the flat image art first before it's separated to give a kind of a good guesstimate?
It doesn't happen too often because we're really good at giving accurate color counts.
Touch on that. It's you want to look for unique colors. So just because you see one shade of orange here and a shade of orange there, that doesn't mean you have one orange screen. You have to, those are going to be unique colors. So you need a separate screen because that screen is a stencil and you can't just change the color on it willy-nilly, right? So you have to look for those unique colors, and it's any shade of that color that you want to capture is going to have to be on its own screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take us through some of those channels. I know you have some cool stuff pulled up here. Kind of walk through how you lay out, the underbase and include and exclude other colors from being on the underbase, pending the actual color of the garment and so forth.
Sure. So right now what we're looking at here is an Outcast design on the left, and on the right we have the separation for it. So this first channel is the underbase, and then we have a dark brown for the flesh colors, a red for the background, and a blue, a dark gray for the shirts and some shading. And then orange, and then a mid-flesh and a light flesh. So it's important that, especially with flesh colors, you have at least 3 to get really nice depth of color.
3 of different shades of the flesh to get it to the actual flesh
skin
color.
tone.
Yeah.
That right there, that's huge. Someone sends over a piece of artwork that is a photorealistic or an album cover, or this one, two people, to know that there's gonna be 3 different shades of one color. And if you only have an 8-color press, your limitations. You're kind of getting to your limitations there.
Yeah, to make anybody look realistic, you need shadow, you need the midtone, and a highlight.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This process in itself is called simulated process, and so basically, we're taking actual Pantone colors, 185 red or
123 yellow.
yeah, I
That's
knew
a
you
good
guys
yellow.
love rattling off Pantones,
Yeah.
and we're taking those actual Pantone colors and then combining them together in 8 to, like Justin said, could be 16 colors to get a full color image. A question that I always often get is, why can't we print CMYK on garments?
CMYK is what they call process printing. So we're simulating a process print by using 12 colors and Pantones. So when you use CMYK, you're only printing with 4 colors. So on black, you'd need to add a white to that so that you're printing white ink. But what that does is it doesn't give you enough control over the colors, and you're going to have they're going to be way more subdued. They're not going to be vibrant, and they're not going to match the art that you're trying to print.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know we do hear a ton, and maybe Tyler, you can touch on this, like, oh well, digital is going to take over because you don't need separations, so just run everything digital. What's your perspective on that side, and that I guess you'd say that proposal compared to like authentic screen printing?
Screen printing is really hard. There's an art to it. Like I said, I mean, you're taking this image, you're breaking it down into separations. So that's their foundation, is your separation. So if you don't have good separations or a good separator, then you're all automatically off the bat not going to have a good print. So a lot of people, they don't have good separations or a good separator. And then past that, you need a good screen. So if you can't make a good screen, or you don't know what goes into making a good screen, then there's nothing you can do on press to make your print look perfect. Whereas digital, you don't need separations because the digital machine is working kind of like a office printer. It's the same idea. It's just an inkjet printer. So basically, you can just take that picture and send it to the printer, and the printer will rasterize it itself. It kind of has its own software that does that. But with separations, that's what's needed for screen printing. So there's a lot more of an art form in screen printing, and it's a lot harder. It takes a lot more time to dial in and perfect, which we kind of put the time in for that. And most clients, if we show a side by side of here's your digital print and here's a screen print that we sept, most of them are going with the screen print.
Yeah, for sure. Stuff talking about AI and Chat GPT and all this stuff that is just crazy out there right now. Are there also like automation?
Yes.
For SEPs, where you just run it through? And
SEP Studio, you can just drop the file and it will SEP it for you, and then a decent separator will then audit that SEP.
So maybe talk about like the automation part, but also still needs the skill to take it to the next level.
You still need somebody to audit, and we don't really use those automated features because it's very generic, and you have less control, right? So you're not controlling it as well. And it's a lot better when you have somebody with an eye that understands the output of your shop. So like with screen printing, these machines that you use, some people use film, some people use direct-to-screen. On direct-to-screen, you're creating an output. So like if you have a 10% dot in Photoshop, you want to print a 10% dot.
There are separators. Then there are separators that work in a factory that can go out there on the floor and see the result, right? Is one better than the other? And I'm sure if a separator is out of the house or not in the house, but still has that experience, it could still be a good separator. That's one thing I want to hear.
The reason why we like to keep our separations in-house and we like to separate everything is because our separators understand our calibration. We constantly get SEPs from clients that are accounting for bad printers, meaning they're putting a lot less information than needs to be there because everyone else is blowing that out and oversaturating it on press. Whereas we're controlling our entire process start to finish, and we know exactly what the outcome is going to be. So we want those values to be true in Photoshop. We're not compensating at all, where most separators are compensating.
So you're saying they're undercompensating because they believe that dot gain will happen.
There's going to be a lot of dot gain, either on press or even in the pre-production, just developing the screen itself. And we see that all the time, where we have to take other people's separations and pump the values up because we hold a true dot.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I have to say, like, you know, we appreciate you guys. It's kind of a thankless job. You know, we're always saying like, hey, why can't you get this sep right off, you know, off the first time? So, you know, thank you so much for kind of walking us through that. I also think that we're a little biased, but like, honestly, nothing is like a screen printed product. You know, as much as you know, in the next segment we may be talking about digital, or we may be talking about sublimation, or you know, there are some times that we'll say it isn't, you know, necessarily the right move to have a separation, but ultimately a rock and roll authentic t-shirt is done with incredible separation. So we appreciate you guys, and thanks a lot for joining us this segment. Please, you know, holler at us. Let us know, like, what are you trying to learn? What is your team trying to know more about? You know, how can we help deliver some value? Carlo and I will keep bringing the pros, and just let us know what other segment or series that we can come up with. But otherwise, hopefully we're going to bring these to you every single week and just sit back and talk about merch culture.
Talk merch. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right.